daily. We haven't done a live broadcast for you guys in a while, but I've been getting a lot of questions from people when I've been talking to and reaching out to people about how they're just really struggling to fit stuff into their life and make change and make positive change on their journey to best version of themselves and what we call strong, lean, and awesome. So we have this habit rubric, which you can see on the screen, which we use to give to clients to help them figure out why it is they think that they're not getting results, or why it is they think they're really struggling with creating change. And we call it, there's like 4 keys to awesomeness, which is basically, as you can see there, we think that you need to personalize the habit to suit you and not just do like a template habit or skill or program. You need to personalize everything to suit your lifestyle. You need to focus on one thing at a time to change because it makes it easier. And there's a book out there about habit change from Leo Batusta. I can't remember his last name, but basically he says that if you focus on one thing, you got 80% chance of success. Or if you focus on 2 or more things, your success percentage drops to like less than 30%. So focusing on one thing at a time sets you up for success much better. And then actively support is like an accountability tool. And then reflecting daily. So I'm going to go over each one of these now for you so you can have a look. All right, so personalizing the habit. So what generally happens when people start out on their journey? They just get a template and try and run with it, and they don't really relate the habit to their lifestyle at all. And we call it the beginner stage, which most people generally go through, and happens to a lot of people. You're looking for the shiny object syndrome to help get you to where you want to be. And then the developing stages, they find a way to personalize the habit, but it's kind of standard. It's like, it's not really personalized to them. They're just doing what they think you want to hear. As in, I'm the coach coaching them. They might be just doing what I think I want to hear instead of doing what they actually believe they can do. And then an accomplished person basically personalizes the habit into their lifestyle, including exact definitions and circumstances of one's lifestyle. So basically, they figure out what the trigger is that's causing a bad behavior or a behavior they want to change. They figure out the new behavior, and then they create a habit statement around how they're going to change from the old behavior to the new behavior by when this trigger happens. So for example, when I get anxiousness feelings and start feeling stressed, instead of going to the fridge and destroying a bar of chocolate, I will instead do a 5-minute movement stack before I decide to have the bar of chocolate. So it's just putting a positive habit before the negative one, and it's personalizing it to the person. So for me, that's what I sometimes do when I get super stressed. I'll go and have like a couple of lines of dark chocolate. So instead, I'll do a 5-minute movement stack before I do it. So that's a really easy way on how to personalize the habit. Next is focus on one habit at a time. So a lot of people try and do a lot of things at once, which I get. Like, you want to try and change everything really quickly and get the results you want because you're here to make change. But what we've found over 5 years of coaching people is that focusing on one thing at a time has a lot more success for people. Like, they tend to nail it much better. We sometimes get people to focus on up to 3 things, which is our Move, Eat, Re-Energize tool. They focus on something for movement, something for nutrition, and something for re-energize. But it's usually one thing in each category. So we still like to do one habit from movement, nutrition, and re-energize skills. But even then, if it's super stressed out and they're a red light, which we're going to talk about in next week's video, if you're a red light traffic zone system, which is a stress cup system, if you're red, focusing on one thing, like just one thing that will make you feel better and make you move closer towards your goal, that 1% closer every day, is the way to do it. So the way we sort of look at it is like, when beginners jump in, they try and jump into more than one habit and complete them at the same time. They try and do everything at once because you got heaps of motivation. You want to get in and you want to do everything. But at the beginner stage, that you can do it for a little bit, then you eventually hit a brick wall and you got to figure out how to move forward. Because like we said, everyone flows in and out of stressful zones in their life. When you're really stressed out, it's really hard to focus on everything. You got to just focus on the principles, and maybe one thing is all you need to do. The developing mindset, or the developing person, is they focus on one habit, but also ask about what's coming up. They focus on the one thing, but they're still thinking ahead about what's the next thing, what's the magic pill that's coming down the road, instead of focusing on the process of what's happening now, because you're only as good as the next day, and you're only as good as your next practice, and you're only as good as your next habit or skill you're doing. So The developing mindset knows they need to focus on one thing, but they're still looking ahead about what's coming up instead of just staying in the moment. And the accomplished person focuses on one habit and absolutely dominates it and patiently waits for the next one. So the person who's accomplished basically says laser focused on the process they need to do now, because it's the sum of the things you do now that equal the result of you getting strong, lean, and awesome. So whatever you do today is going to get you closer to being strong, lean, and awesome instead of thinking about what you're going to do 3 days from now. So that's the way we try and get people to focus in on one thing and focus on the here and now. Moving down to actively support. This is like an accountability tool. Everyone needs some kind of accountability. They found that even if you check in with a coach once a year, you're still going to lose weight compared to not checking in with anyone at all. And you don't even have to check in with a coach. You can check in with friends and role models and things like that. So the way we look at actively support in what we do, we like to get our guys to sort of share their journey with each other in a coaching group. And that also allows them to teach what they're doing to everybody else, because we've found the best way for our legends to hit the save button on whatever they're learning is by teaching it to somebody else in the coaching group about how they're doing it. And it just sort of makes it easier for each of our legends to figure out what they're doing and retain it. It's like hitting a save button. So the way we sort of look at it is if you're in a supportive community of people who are helping you on your journey, the beginner's mindset is that you don't comment on many things. You're just sort of watching and seeing what's going on, not sure about sharing things, which is cool. We get it. All our stuff is optional, but that's the beginner's mindset. Most people who do really well with this stuff share how they're traveling, wins and losses. So the ones that they struggle with, the things that they struggle with, especially if they share them, everyone jumps in, and if you've got a good supportive community, everyone jumps in and helps you move the next step forward. Developing mindset is comment sometimes in the community, but not all the time, which is good. It's really good. It's getting to where you want to be. And then the accomplished mindset is like gets involved in all the discussions, helps support the community members and in the decision-making process. So you will flow in and out of the different ones, out of the support groups. So sometimes you'll fall in the beginner and don't want to comment on anything for a while because you might feel in a rut. But sometimes you fall in the accomplished zone and you're like, I want to help everybody. You will naturally move around. And what we try and do as a coaching group is try and move you into the accomplished group as much as possible. And when you fall out, that's okay. We'll just try and move you back in your own time. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3. So we've done personalize the habit. We're focused on one thing. You've found a support group and you know you need to share with the support group what you're doing to help you show up as an accountability tool to keep doing the thing. The last one is reflecting, which is a super cool one. So reflecting is about basically doing answering 3 questions on how your day went. What went well? What didn't go well? What would you do differently tomorrow? And if you do that every day, you will get at least 1% better every day and get to where you want to be, because you're constantly learning about your journey and constantly changing and tweaking things as you go. So reflecting every day. The beginner person doesn't really reflect every day because they don't see value in it. They don't see value in understanding what it is they're doing and trying to figure out what went well, what they need to change because it didn't go so well, and what would they do differently. Like, they don't want to go a little bit deeper into it, which is totally cool because eventually you will. So developing mindset is reflects minimally and sporadically. So it doesn't reflect all the time, but they still reflect probably once a week at minimum, and they do move forward. They just move forward a little bit slower than most people. And then the accomplished person basically reflects every day and in depth about what they're doing and what they're working on in a journal, with themselves, in the coaching support group, with your friends, your family, your partner. The accomplished person basically reflects and says, this is what went well for me today, this is what didn't go well for me today, and this is what I want to try and do differently tomorrow. Or what you ask, say in the case of your partner, you're sitting down at dinner, as like Kat and I try and do as much as we can, is we ask each other what went well, what didn't go well, and what help do we need from each other to move forward the next day. So those reflection questions actually open up a cupboard of awesome ideas for you guys to help move forward. So that's our little infographic, the habit rubric. And what we have is in the description of this video, you can see a link there to go sign up to our email list, and you will get this straight away and a bonus 7-day fat flush course if you want it. When you sign up, you will get this infographic exactly how it is. You can print it off and put it on your fridge, and you can make sure whenever you're making change, doesn't matter what program you're following, doesn't matter what habits and skills you're doing, whether you're doing work stuff, health stuff, family stuff, whatever, doesn't matter what it is. These 4 things need to be in place for you to have success. So you need to be personalizing the habit. You need to focus on one thing as much as possible. You need to have support and accountability in a group of like-minded people. And you need to be able to learn how to reflect daily on your journey so you can learn to move forward. And when things come up that get in the way, like roadblocks, you reflect on it and change the next day on how to get around it. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks, Dim, for being in, watching as well. And the Habit Rubric, you can download it now. I'll put the link in the comments as well. But yeah, thanks for listening. Be back next week with the traffic light system. All right, guys. See ya.